Hello and welcome to another episode of the Women Can Do Show. I am your host, Rochelle Sawyer Cobb, and I have with me Avery Simone. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we first of all I want to say happy Wednesday to everyone. And thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule and or your evening to tune in to the show. I guarantee, as usual, you're going to be informed, empowered, and maybe even transformed. So put on your seatbelts and prepare to be really informed tonight. This is a great topic. Our topic tonight is the power of automations and digital systems, and we have an expert to tell us all about it, right? So, but before we do that, just briefly tell us who is outside of your business, outside of the topic that we're talking about. I always like my guests to share like who they are at the core.
Okay, sounds good. So, thank you again for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So, outside of the business, besides being a geek and just avid lover of automations, I love WWE. So, the funny thing is, right? I wear dresses all the time. Like you will rarely see me in pants. But when it comes to Monday and Friday, I'm always at the couch looking at my WWE, cheering them on. Like, yes, beat them or whatever. So that is something about me that nobody knows a lot about. And then I
Wow.
love to travel as well. So
Yeah.
that really just fuels my passion for life, being able to travel, being able to experience life.
Wow. I like that. That's like a fun fact.
Yes.
So tell us. So you're the founder of Black Women Moguls.
Mhm.
So share with us first of all what kind of company that is, and what services you offer, and then what led you to start Black
Okay.
Women Mobile.
Yes, thank you for that question. I love being able to share how it started and what we
Yeah.
do. So, what we offer entrepreneurs, and it's actually evolved from the original origin story, but it's still central to the mission why we started. But we wanted to bring tangible strategies to business owners, and started off with women owners, but now it's expanded because men are like, well, what about us too? I was like, okay,
Mhm.
sure, we can help you as well. But making sure that they have sustainable business systems through automation, making sure that it's not just full of motivation, which motivation is good, but
Mhm.
sometimes you just need that next level strategy to take your business and elevate it so that you can make sure that it is sustainable. So for me personally, I was tired of going to conferences that just left you with a feel good feeling. And at the end of it, I'm like, well, how is this going to help my business? So I decided
Mm.
to create my own platform. And it also tied to, at that time, the 2019 report by American Express that on average, Black women entrepreneurs only made 24,000 and some change compared to counterparts who made six figures or more.
Wow.
So we needed some resources to fill in those gaps. And so I created my agency to do exactly that.
Wow. That's powerful. And how long has Black Women Moguls been
So, like any entrepreneur,
around?
we've had all many ventures, but this particular venture since 2019.
Okay, okay, okay. So, first, before we dig into the topic, just kind of explain what do you mean by automation and digital systems as it relates to business. Just so our viewers can understand what angle we're going with tonight.
Very good question. And this topic, even though it's talked about a little bit more and more, it's still something that's not widely shared amongst business owners because it's the
Mhm.
last thing people think about. So when we're talking about systems, it's really talking about how something happens. So
Mm.
what is that process you are carrying out to get to your end goal? So for example, marketing, you might have a sales funnel. What are you going to do to get people into that sales funnel, such as your email list or phone calls, different things like that? And then how are you going to take them along a journey to get them to the sale? So you're thinking about the systems as a process, and the automation is how it happens. So you're thinking about, okay, maybe to get them into my email list, I'm going to have an opt in. And so
Okay.
think about your favorite store. You opt in for 20%. They're not manually sending you that code, it happens
Mhm.
automatically. And if you
Mm.
think about it, automation is all around us. If you think about going to the vending machine, nobody's
Yeah.
handing that in the back of the machine. It's
Yeah.
automatically happening for you as soon as you click a button. So that's how you can apply that to your business.
And then what are the key benefits for the business owner? What
Mhm.
are the key benefits of implementing automation?
So I like to say it's having a team member that works for you 24/7 in the
Mhm.
background for you. But of course, not having that person as a human, but having that AI or that automation work for you. And so all you
Mhm.
have to do is set it up correctly, monitor it on occasion, but it works like clockwork for you. And so one example is maybe someone signed up for your email list and you're supposed to send them a guide. Well, you don't have to remember to send them that guide because it's done for you. Because if you're like me, if I don't write it down, I will not remember it. And so it was days later until they get their guide. So having that system work for you in the background helps you to free up your time so you can focus on what you actually enjoy. And I call it automating the boring, tedious tasks that nobody wants to do.
Right, right. So is that like let's say the company newsletters.
Hmm.
Just kind of share how it applies to that.
Hmm.
Um so even with now I'm going to give you another example. Let's say there's they're having an event,
Hmm.
and you know how you automate the message, that the automate the email or whatever, like, so like, like Eventbrite does, but let's say they're doing this on their website. So how does that apply?
Hmm. Great question. So, if you have a really great website, they should have automations on the back end for you. So, what
Hmm.
you would do is set up the event, and I'm going to give an example of the event, but also take it a step
Okay.
further to some more robust tools because it depends on the website. But
Mm,
ideally, your website would have, again, going back to the sales funnel, automations on the back end. So you can say when someone signs up for this event, they will automatically receive their confirmation email and the next steps. Then you can set, and it's going to call a trigger. Then
okay.
maybe like 5 days later, you have another automated email that goes out to say, hey, so glad you're joining us, and give some value added tips or whatever that might look like for the next email. And then a few days later, it does another email. So you can add as many emails as you want. So again, it depends on the website, but
Hmm.
tools such as Kartra, which is what I use, and just because I say the tool doesn't mean it's the best one for people, but
Right.
your research. But every time someone opts in for my course that's online or for my free ebook, it's a funnel that's set up with about 5 to 7 emails that goes automatically. So again, email one goes out automatically, maybe 5 days later, email two, 7 days
Hmm.
later, email three. So it does it for me. And then after that funnel is over, I'll just put them as a part of my regular bi-weekly newsletter that I will send out.
Okay. Okay. So so let's say, so your clients are business owners, right? You're like the person that gets them set up
That's
um to have these automated systems.
that's correct.
What what is like the biggest challenge that a business owner face when they're, implementing this, when you're going from manual, like some people, just do emails right on their own, like a manual, they type it or whatever. So what are the biggest challenges that you've seen that a business owner faces when they're going from manual to these automated and digital
Mhm.
systems?
So I would say the biggest challenges I've seen is number one, not being clear on their offer and their messaging. Everything,
Mhm.
actually, no, let me backtrack. Their target audience, because their target audience trickles down to their messaging. It trickles down to what type of opt-in they're going to offer. So I would say number one is target audience. Then number
Okay.
two, their offer, because, and it might be because they're not clear on their target audience. They're not sure, okay, which direction should I go in, which what offer should I focus on? Because when you are pulling people in, you don't want to give them so many options where they're like a kid in a candy store and they don't
Mm,
know which way to go. So I would
yeah.
say those are the top things. And then also sounding like everyone else. Sometimes people just choose an ebook because it's the easiest thing, or they might choose a social media platform thinking their target audience is there, but it's not even something that fits with their brand. So that's where research comes in and experimentation.
Okay. And then what tools and technologies would you suggest, like nowadays in this current climate, what tools
Mhm.
and technologies are best used when you're going into this automated, the, you know, to, going into automate from manual to automated and digital systems?
Okay.
Like
What
what
I'm
tools and technologies do you find that are,
help
beneficial rather?
makes sense. Yes. So I'm going to give a general, and then I'll like overview of the tools that every business
Mhm.
owner should have, and then I will list certain tools.
Okay.
And I'll do it product based versus service based because that also varies. And I'll start with
Yeah.
service. If you are a service based business, at the very least, you do need an email marketing platform. That's again with that opt in. So the opt in could be a quiz, it could be again the ebook, it could be a webinar, it could be an event or a course. And some type of email platforms are Active Campaign, there's ConvertKit, there's of course MailChimp, there's Klaviyo. So you want to find the tool that works best for your budget. And then also you want to think about long term as well, because a lot of people buy or get an email tool based off of where they are now, not thinking long term. And then when it comes to maybe
Mm.
having 1,000 people in their list or 2,000, the rate significantly jumps and they weren't prepared for that. So you want to
Yeah.
think long term in that regard. And then also for service based businesses, you want a CRM system, which stands for Client Relationship Management System.
Mhm.
This will tie to your onboarding process. And so it, like for instance, my tool Honeybook, it facilitates my contract, automated payments, my scheduling tools. Everything is all in one, and it has so much more. And so basically with the click of a button, all I have to do is say, okay, someone's interested in my website button, and it sends
Mhm.
them their contract. As soon as they make their first payment, it will automatically send their welcome packet, and then I can schedule some check-ins. So again, you can set these things in advance so you're not having to remember to do things in real time. So that's the service based side. And there's more things, but those are the top two if you're,
Okay.
especially if you're just getting started. If you are a product based business, you don't necessarily need a CRM tool, but you need a good website that has product fulfillment and keeps track of inventory.
Mhm.
So you also do want to have an email system. And so if it's a tool like Shopify, it does have a built-in system, but sometimes with my Shopify clients will still use Klaviyo because it's a little bit more robust with the opt-in. So it's a
Mhm.
little simpler on the product side, but it also kind of just depends on what you're trying to ship out to your clients.
So you mentioned Shopify. So is that one of, I know there's Shopify, Wix,
Hmm.
um, which I know I've heard Shopify is more product based,
Hmm. Correct.
whereas Wix is kind of both.
Yes. So Shopify is definitely built for e-commerce, and I actually have both. I have Shopify and Wix.
Hmm.
Wix was my first platform I ever built websites on. So I am loyal to them to the end, but there are also pros and cons. So even as I mention these tools, I always encourage business owners to do their own research. So
Right.
Wix is the more user-friendly platform for people to build websites. And sometimes it's still hard, but it's easier than WordPress in
Hmm.
comparison. WordPress is more so if you want more robust features and customizations. Not to say that Wix can't do it, but that's what WordPress is known for. But it just takes a learning
Okay.
curve. Shopify is built for e commerce. And so for me, I use Wix for my service based businesses, and I have
Hmm.
used their e commerce features, but I use Shopify for like my drop shipping businesses and my other like digital courses, different things like that. So again, it just depends on where you are, your budget, and what type of sector you're going into.
So you mentioned WordPress. So WordPress is that kind of more, how would I say this? High end? Like is it, is it more not high end, is it more advanced
Yeah,
than Wix and Shopify, or and is it like a combination of the both?
I would say it can be a combination because even you can code on Wix, but
Okay.
WordPress is known for that, as you said, more advanced type of platform. So there's a whole Wix versus WordPress war. And so
Mhm,
I can
mhm.
see the benefits of both. I still, again, am loyal to Wix, but it's for my own personal reasons. And I do understand why people would want to utilize WordPress, which I do have built. sometimes even like with my clients, I say, no, we need to build your website on WordPress for this reason. So it starts off
Okay.
with knowing what you need and seeing which one works best for you.
Okay. Right. Right. So, and now we know, like, there's the pros, and cons to automated systems when you're building it out. What are ethical issues? Because this is important, and this is another thing that people don't think about
Mhm.
um, when building, in these automated and digital systems.
Mhm. One consideration, my mind instantly went to healthcare. You have to
Mm,
be careful if you're, especially if you're a mental health therapist or some related health field, to make sure
mm,
that the tool that you use is HIPAA compliant. I've run into a lot of
mm.
limitations, especially when it comes to CRM systems, where we had to find an alternative tool to make sure that their clients' information was protected. So that's the
Well,
first
that's
thing that
interesting.
comes to mind. And then another, will say consideration. It's not necessarily ethical, but I will say to, as a word of caution, not becoming too robotic. So I do like to, of course, automate as much as I can, but I also
Hmm.
still like to have those personal touches to let them know that yes, there's a person behind this brand, and
Hmm.
we're not just so robotic where you can't contact us if you have an issue or concern.
Okay, okay. I get, and that's interesting. You mentioned that too about, like, in the healthcare industry,
Mhm.
like with a therapist. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like having to make sure it's in alignment with HIPAA laws. And it's something, like you said, like people may not even think of that. You know what I mean? Like these things that are small, but they're actually major. They can have a major impact, right?
Definitely. Yeah. And even when I'm thinking about another, it's not necessarily automation, but just going to tools in general. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't know when it comes to Canva, if you download a logo from Canva, you can't trademark it because it doesn't belong to you. So that's just another example of being careful of like how you use the tools. You can utilize it, for promotional use, but sometimes it can't be commercial use.
And that leads into my next question. What are, like, some of the common mistakes that people make when implementing these automated and digital systems? And then how can they recover from them?
Mhm.
Like, what are some of the common that maybe that you've seen?
I'm going to tell on myself a little bit because I've made some mistakes as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing that comes to mind is not checking the way you set it up. And sometimes you think you did it right, but you
Mm,
just need to do your due diligence and check again because I think I can't remember when it was, but I had something pointed to the wrong resource that was supposed to be automated and sent. And then I think another time I did not upload the resource. So checking and testing is very important. And then also another consideration is I'm going to go back to the sales funnel, making things too generic so that way you don't, if you make it too generic, you don't know exactly what's in. So if someone signs up for 5 tips to learn about systems, I know that they're interested in learning about systems. If they sign up for 3 tips to have better time management, I know they're interested in
mhm.
that. So when you are making your sales funnel, you want to make sure that it's very specific. And then also another thing is just asking your audience what they're interested in. And so that can definitely facilitate how you market. It can facilitate how you create your customer experience and automate as well.
Mm. That's good. That's good information. That's good to know. So, what would you so now, a lot of business owners may, they've been doing this manual for so long, and they may have hesitation
Mm.
to go automated. So, what advice would you give to that business owner, and what reason would you give them to kind of sell them on this? Like, hey, this is I for me, I'm like, this is the way that the world is going. So it's like you better get on the bus or not.
Yes.
It's like no way around it to me.
Mhm. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I was like, oh, I wish I had my book nearby that I wrote because I have a passage on this exact question, and it's called letting go. So if you think about your day-to-day task where you're wearing multiple hats, there's only so much time that you can give to tasks. And if you're
Mhm.
spending all of your time on administrative things, you don't have much time to do some of the other things. So
Mhm.
I understand AI automation can be scary. However, if you are looking to scale and get into the five figures, the six figures, you're going to have to adapt to AI and automation to help you. It's not there to hurt you, but it's there to
Yeah.
help you accelerate. And tools such as ChatGPT, tools such as Midjourney and Canva Code. I know it might be sound like a foreign language, but learning those tools can really help accelerate your brand and set you apart from the competition.
Mm. And how important is it? I know you have a team, right?
So actually, well, I am starting I've had a team off and on, but
Yeah.
it was me just for the longest. And even when I was in Miami a month ago, I was like twiddling my thumbs because I literally had nothing to do except celebrate my birthday, which was what I was supposed to do. But my sisters were working in the background for me, and I was like, "Oh, wow, it doesn't need me."
Wow. And I think that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what if, uh, like, what is the benefit? Like, because most people say, you if you're running a business, you need a team. But like you said, if you have these automated systems in place,
Hmm.
you really don't need it. First of all, it'll cut costs, because to have a team, you got to pay a team.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
if you're not, like you said, and if your revenue is not there yet, you can't afford to pay a team.
Hmm.
And so this does become beneficial in that sense, right? For someone starting out, this is very beneficial.
It really is because, to your point, sometimes I did not have the revenue for a team. Sometimes I
Right.
didn't have enough for them to do. Again, also sometimes because it was my systems working so well. So all they were doing was really checking email, and I can do that or have Gemini now because I have to export the features, but Gemini can do that for me now and tell me what I've missed. So if you are on a budget, the systems can work for you, even if you're not
Mm.
getting like things such as Kartra. There's something out there for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And it's almost like there's, there's no excuse. Like there's something. And because initially people do think like, oh, what's that's gonna cost me?
Mhm,
You know what I mean? The average business owner is gonna think like, I'm already spending I have all these production costs, I have these other expenses for the business, and now you want me to go automate it. What is that gonna cost me?
exactly. Just add to my bills.
Right. But I love it because in the end, it's gonna save you. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Mhm. Agreed. And I
Yeah.
also say that systems and automation, it's an evolution, not a destination. So even though I had some
Mm.
things set up, I recently revamped. I'm still revamping it, but I recently revamped everything because I'm like, there's some things that I can make better within this process. And of course, I didn't start out with all these tools that I had. I
Right.
gradually as I went along. So you don't have to feel like you have everything right away. You just add
Yeah.
as you
Yeah. And again, it's these are learning tools. This is an first of all, number one, it's an investment in yourself and in your business. And I know me as a business owner, when I started thinking about it like that, I
can.
stopped like overthinking, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna cost this. I'm spending this, I'm spending this. It's like, no, this is an investment in my business is an investment in myself.
Mhm. Agreed. Yeah, I remember counting a mini penny, especially when I was getting coaching services. I was like, "Oh Lord, my last dollar." But that was the best that I made in investing in my systems. Like, even if I need to like allocate budget somewhere else, they're my two top systems of like, I cannot let this go, especially
Yeah,
because I'm grandfathered into the price. And if I let it go, I'm going to be paying way more. So sometimes it's better to be in the tools early on because you'll get the best deal because you just never know
yeah,
where they're going to go up.
yeah, yeah. So share a client success story. Like
Mhm.
somebody that you like that came to you and just were at the beginning and it's like, oh my gosh, this is scary. I'm not technical. I can't do this automated stuff. and
Mhm.
now they are thriving with it. Share one of your success stories.
Okay, so I guess I'll share the most recent. And so, first up, a shout out to my friend Takia, TK Consulting and Design. She does digital marketing. Check her out. So, she has an agency herself, and we started talking about her processes, and I was just coming in as a friend. So, she had some things
Mm,
in place already. So, she wasn't necessarily a beginner, but she was looking to level up her processes and procedures. So, we did a major overhaul together, collaborated to do that.
mhm.
And then she ended up bringing me on as her system strategist. And so from there, from the processes we created, she recorded and I created the training and we put it into slides so that way we could onboard her new website designer and some other people on her team. And so now she talks about how she feels a little bit less stressed as we're starting to implement more and more. And she actually was on featured on a panel on Monday and talked. She gave me a shout out saying that we
Oh,
can't this project together and said her system strategist helped her to do XYZ. So that was one of the success stories that I have implemented as well, helped to implement.
wow. Yeah, yeah. And that's, they say what's your rose and what's your thorn, like I that has to be your rose, right? The yeah. Just see, and I always ask people that, like, who are like coaching or business coaches, like, give me a success story of that client that came and was just raw, and now, you've seen, the fruits of your labor. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It's always great. I think that's what always keeps me going because I always say you won't be
Yeah.
motivated, but you'll be disciplined. But seeing the results of people who transform within their
Mm.
business through systems, processes, and marketing is just really rewarding.
Yeah, yeah. So share with the people if someone wants to reach out to you, and there, because I know there is a business owner on here that is tired of doing all this work themselves, and you are just ready to get automated, but you have that fear. You don't, you think this is, I'm not a tech person. You don't have to be. Trust me, I was that person. Like, I'm like, I'm not the IT person. And so, but I did, once I, got into these automated systems, it's like, oh my gosh, like this can actually do this. This is so cool. So just give your information for someone on here who may be needing your services to help, because listen, you want to take your business to the next level. And to do that, you have to evolve. Like, you have to be constantly evolving. The world is changing. The world is what, like, these systems are gonna, like you said, get in now, because they're gonna, the changes are gonna happen.
Yeah. So if you want to, follow my journey or get in contact with me, I can be followed on Instagram at Black Women Moguls. I give tips and tricks for the free if you're just ready to get started and learn a little bit more before making an investment. So you can follow me there. You can also add me on LinkedIn. My full government name is out there, Averri Liggins. So you can add me there as well. And then our website is www.blackwomenmoguls.com. And so there are some resources on the website as well. And then there's also a free consultation if you're just looking to learn a little bit more about how systems can work with you for you.
And I want to tell you, your website is beautiful and it's very user friendly.
You-
I went on your website. I was like, this is so nice and easy to easy to get to your destination. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
top notch, top notch.
Thank you so much. I tried to make it easy.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on to this show. Now, before we leave, is there any advice that you'd like to give our business owners, or somebody who is not yet a business owner but is considering, they have that idea, and they want to start their entrepreneurial journey? Is there any advice that or encouragement that you would like to give them?
Okay, so this is so cliche, but I always end any interview by saying, "Do it scared," because it's got to be
Mm,
through so much. And so you might not want to go to the extent that I do because I take too many risks sometimes, but it usually pays off. Don't be like me. Have a plan. I do have a plan, but have a plan first. Don't just leap out sometimes, but do it
mhm,
scared. And I always give the example of how at age 30, I went after an opportunity with AARP to be a business coach. However, I first had apprehension to say, I don't know if they would even select me because I'm 30. These are seasoned entrepreneurs. But they did
mm,
select me, and I ended up having a good cohort, and they loved, the expertise that I provided. So don't let age, whether you are younger or seasoned, stop
yeah,
you. Don't let thinking you are not qualified or imposter syndrome creep up on you because you probably are more
mm,
qualified than you think. And then don't be afraid to take that risk, even if people think you're crazy. You just
yeah.
might pay off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. So, again, thank you for coming on. You shared some great information. And to our viewers, I hope that you were informed. She shared some very helpful information. For those who may have tuned in late, this will be saved on our YouTube channel at I Can Do Biz, ICANDO BIZ. And if you are here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we are here every Wednesday at the same time, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, PM. And so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some amazing things coming up. Also, be sure our annual Women Empowerment Conference, our fifth annual, this is our fifth year at I Can Do. We are celebrating our 5-year anniversary. Our conference is on Saturday, August 2nd in the city of Torrance. We're out here in California. So go to our social media pages. It's all of our social media pages and get registered now because spaces are filling up. People are registering for this conference already, and I am super excited about it. So be sure to go to our social media pages, and the Eventbrite link is there. And for those who are out of town and planning to come to California for the summer, you want to be at this conference. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Women Can Do Show. As always, be sure to finish your week strong. All right. Bye.